Blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
The 7 feast days of Yahweh are grouped into those that we keep in the spring and those that we observe in the fall. All of the fall feasts take place in the 7th Hebrew month. Once again, it is vital to gain an understanding of the Hebrew calendar. We are now at Yom Teruah, the feast of the blowing of Teruah, trumpets, or perhaps better, shofar. Let us find out what the significance of this feast is and how it is linked to Messiah Yeshua. What is in our translation rendered as trumpets is in the Hebrew shofar. Something meaningful usually occurs at the blowing of shofars in scriptures. When Yahweh prepared Israel to enter into the covenant with him, he descended unto Horeb in flames, thunder, and lightning. There was a loud blast from the shofar that went beforehand. Joshua attacking the city of Jericho was preceded by the divine command to encircle the city for 7 days with 7 shofar blasts. From the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, we know that a trumpet, or shofar, will also sound at the return of the Messiah. Apostle Shaul to the Thessalonians, "For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a rousing cry, with a call from one of the ruling angels, and with God's shofar. Those who died, united with the Messiah, will be the first to rise." In his letter to the Corinthians, Paul is even more specific. "It will take but a moment, the blink of an eye, at the final shofar, for the shofar will sound, and the dead will be raised to live forever, and we too will be changed." Alright, so Messiah will come to the earth at the blast of the shofar, just as at Sinai. But the last and final shofar, last and final from what? Let us look at Yom Teruah once again. We celebrate this day with shofar blasts. The spring and fall feasts are centered around Lord Yeshua. Shaul says Messiah will return at the last shofar. Last from what? The last book of scriptures, Revelation, gives us the full picture. There are 7 shofars which are sounded. It is only after the last shofar has been sounded that Messiah Yeshua will return. The last shofar is the 7th. We recall that a shofar is sounded at each new moon and new month.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
The first new moon of the 7th month begins Yom Teruah. Yom Teruah is the 7th shofar of the Hebrew year. It stands for the return of Israel's king to Zion on the Mount of Olives, just like at Horeb. What exactly will happen on Yom Teruah? Messiah is coming back to establish his reign on earth after destroying the enemies of Israel at Megiddo. He will also firmly institute the Torah from Zion and govern the whole earth by his law. We find a prophetic forecast of this from the writings after the rebuilding of Jerusalem by Ezra and the walls of it by Nehemiah. We interestingly read in the book of Nehemiah what took place on the first day of the 7th month, which is Yom Teruah. The event that took place is a prophetic foreshadowing of future events. The captives had returned, settled back in their cities, and the Torah was again established. It is utterly fascinating that the name of the leading Levite and priest at the time was Yeshua. This, as mentioned, all happened at Yom Teruah. In the Messianic age, all the believers that rule with Messiah are those that went through the Great Tribulation, either having died in it or having survived. These are the ones Apostle Shaul speaks of in his letters. The rest of mankind will then have to appear before Adonai Yeshua at the white throne judgment. Just as the Day of Atonement is 10 days away from the day of the shofar blowing at Yom Teruah, so also is the last and true Day of Atonement prophetically 1,000 years away from Messiah's return. The entire salvation plan of Yah has been laid out in the feasts for us. Our promise for atonement comes in the fullness of time, represented by the number 10 in the Torah. After Messiah's return, we count down to our purification upon his arrival. So we wait for Messiah Yeshua to return and take us home. Even so, come, Lord Yeshua.